Hello, all you wonderful folks out there. Welcome to the Into the Song podcast, a place where we spend some quality time with a songwriter discovering what makes their song tick. I'm Doug Harsh, your faithful host. Please join me as we go into the song. On today's podcast, I talk with Jake Borowski, who has played for years with his sister Jess in a combo called Starheart. I think you'll enjoy hearing how Jake's songs are driven both by emotion and also altered tunings. Jake is a musician's musician who is always playing. In fact, you can catch him playing live on Facebook almost every day. He even had his guitar on hand with him while we talked about his song. Now, let's go into the song. So yeah, man, thank you for doing this. You are like the inaugural.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't research to see if you've done this yet.
So I have known you, I want to say at least 5 years.
Yeah, it might even be longer. I mean, I know that something kicks up maybe at Chicory. Maybe could it been like one of those songwriter nights at Chicory?
It could be, and I think that the first time I saw you and your sis play, I think you guys were playing like on the patio at Chocolate Cafe.
Oh yeah, that was 2014, the summer.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, my sister was doing with her ex-husband Nick, who's a great harmonica player. You know, they were getting some gigs here and there. She had a ton of songs she's written. I had songs I'd written. And I was like, let's just put it together and like do these covers like that we grew up knowing, like Indigo Girls. And then we put together like 15 original songs. So I was like, well, let's put it down. And I had no idea how to, like, I'm not a recording engineer at all. And so I was like, who can we get to produce? But then a guy playing guitar with us at the time, he was like, oh, you got to meet this guy, Trey Gray. He just got back in town. He's a professional drummer in Nashville, and he's looking to produce and record. So we met Trey, and obviously it was like he was offering us the world and saying he would play drums with us, at no extra charge or whatever. And I learned his credentials, like playing with Brooks and Dunn and Reba McEntire and Faith Hill and Jewel and all that stuff. I'm like, damn, okay, no, this is it. And so Trey and his producing partner, Mike Kyle, I think they both went to Penn High School. I think they graduated I know Trey graduated in like 90s. And we got in and just laid down tracks. And my sister and I both decided we'd bring 6 each songs. I think we got 12 on that album. And we just ran through them. I mean, Trey would listen to the song. He'd make edits. He made some edits on this particular song.
So you had written this song before, though, like before you guys decided to do these sections, right? And so did the song structure change as you did the recording, or is it pretty much the way you wrote it?
This song, and another thing Trey said from the beginning is that you have to, this is going to be a collaboration, and you have to trust me if I need to cut some things out or need to rewrite anything. I'm like, for this particular song, he did cut a part of the bridge that he thought was a little too redundant. And it actually, I like it. It makes more sense.
My first impression of the song, and I've definitely heard the song outside of, what you sent me, but the first thing that I noticed right away is the hook, that intro figure, that you're doing. Did that kind of come first?
It started with the tuning. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Where can I go with this? And then that riff is something that, like, rhythmic kind of quality of that riff is something that I use a lot, and I think a lot of people use a lot. So I just thought it sounded cool. And so that was the first thing that came. Yeah, that I rarely go lyrics first.
Right.
The riff comes, but the riff comes first, and then the opening lyric came first, which was nice because sometimes a riff will come, and then I'll even get to the next segment of the song without having lyrics locked in. But this one, that the first line came, so it set the tone of the song. She's just a little sore.
Right.
Most of the songs are very personal. And this one was me leaving Kansas City to come back here. And specifically, I was dating a woman. She couldn't leave Kansas City. So it was just like a full stop breakup that we knew it had to happen. And so that's the song, really. So it comes from that riff. It comes from being in this headspace where I'm sad about that.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there, and it came relatively quickly. There's some interesting things about the lyrics for this particular song. The first line, she's just a little sore. She couldn't hide the scars. And it took me a couple of years after writing that song and playing it out to realize that if someone might take from that I'm talking about physical violence, which I'm not.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about this. The second verse comes in and it says a punch of perfectness.
And that was just alliteration at first, which is a trick that everyone tries to use, and I overuse it. So, and still, like, there's also sometimes, Doug, where I'll like 5 years after I've been playing a song that I've written, I'll realize that I rhymed a word with the same word. Like, and it's crazy. And then that's what it is. I mean, that's what it is. That's the song now.
Yep.
But if I would have thought about, like, usually, and I do, I'll catch it other times in other songs where I'm like, oh no, I don't do that. But that's just the way that it came out. And so, yeah, punch of perfectness after the first part of the first verse saying that she couldn't hide scars.
Right.
I was like, damn, okay. I mean, but the thing is, I am a little bit of emotional violence, if that's a thing. I mean, like, it was a traumatic emotional experience. And so because I don't have, I don't know, someone who would say they do have a relationship with physical violence. It just doesn't, it's not something, it's so foreign, it's so alien to me that describing this sentiment the way that I did, it didn't occur to me that could be, someone could think that's talking about physical violence.
Well, it's funny because like I immediately thought the same thing. Like, oh, I wonder if people take this the wrong way, because the way I thought of it was the idea that you have to be perfect for someone else.
Yeah.
Is almost offensive, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if you don't measure up, I mean, that can hurt as bad as a punch,
Right. Yep.
So I kind of was curious about.
And that's that's where I was going with it, and again, it starts with alliteration. I just think it's a cool trick, and to put like a perfect punch, people would say that, but a punch of perfectness is like what you're saying there. But also, a lot of my songs that I love will go to the star or night sky imagery. So I pull that in with the next part of the verse, just saying that the moon is mixing light with the gathering of stars, which is just something I just thought of just looking up at the sky. And really, I think the whole song is just a conversation between me and this woman that I dated. Her name's Monica, so I wrote another song about her called Monica, named Monica.
Oh man, which I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so that was like there's kind of polar opposites in the kind of song stylings, where that one's super poppy, and I wrote it. Now that was wrote out of necessity because I needed a high Valentine's Day present, and I'm very intimidated by giving gifts on Valentine's Day because I just don't think anything measures up, except for this one particular time at a moment inspiration of a simple song really quickly.
Well done on that one.
Yeah, with the sum of everything, that was just trying to bestow like this kind of like saintlyhood on this woman, because she was, from my perspective, just taking what was traumatic, and I thought it was well, like just taking it really well. But so that's what that was, and I remember specifically, and I do remember the imagery, but like one of our last conversations I had before I left was we were, I think, in my car or her car, and just kind of saying goodbye. And it was really emotional. And I just remember it raining. So like, and then some of it's projecting. So me projecting onto her, I'll hold on to the rain as the sum of our whole, of everything that's happened. The memory I have is that conversation, and it was bittersweet and very emotional. And the physicality of it is something that I can still feel, which is just sitting in a car with, a rain coming down, pretty hard rain, and remembering how sad it was to have to be in that moment of finality. Also, and this is now delving or going back into crafting songs, it's very hard, I think, to write a good bridge. And I'm always looking for ways to do it that isn't just going to like the second minor in the key.
Right.
But I mean, I still do. That's what that is. But I do like the rhyming structure in the bridge, and the line, she let her mood affect the seasons. I try to say seasons. I might have written just a season, but I wanted to say seasons because, and again, this is me projecting, but the way sometimes I feel my mood, it seems to be sometimes reflected by how nice out it is or how not nice out it is, like the rain. And then or if it's sunny, I remember thinking, the mood is going to change the season around you, no matter what that season is. And then barreling off of that into me as that character in the story of the song, telling lies, telling stories to make what's happening to feel less guilty about going home.
I love how you kind of expose, in the bridge, here's what's going on. Like you said, it's a conversation, and then you basically tell, here's if you haven't figured it out by now, she couldn't catch a break to leave well enough alone. It was her last mistake. So like you're saying, in a way you're saying, I'm so sorry that like I'm having this conversation with you. I have to walk out now, and it wasn't your fault. It's just
right, and you don't deserve it, and
exactly.
Again, that was it's really, because I mean we had a really strong relationship, and I wasn't I just wasn't mature enough or strong enough or had grown enough to like. I was still at that point and a little bit older than I should be, but making decisions in a way that I wasn't fully committing to what I had figured out I wanted to do. So I was being passive. And at that point, I didn't realize that letting things happen is a choice.
Yep. Hey, I don't want to cut you off because great conversation, truly. And, and thank you so much again for going first and being the guinea pig.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome.
Love talking to you. Love going into your song. It's become a lot richer for me. And I'll make sure that I'll put a link to the video that you sent for me, at least YouTube or whatever out there, but probably those other ones as well, so people can go out and check it out for themselves when they listen along.